Hey everyone, it's Nico with Legacy Realty. I hope you're having a great week. Today's Tuesday, which means today is Tips Tuesday. And the reason why I do these videos, if you haven't seen them before, is because I want you guys to be educated as buyers, sellers, or real estate investors. And so that's why I do these videos, is so that I can inform you guys as buyers, sellers, or real estate investors, whether it is now or in the future. And so let's jump into today's topic. So today I kind of want to talk a little more towards buyers and talk about extra buyer costs. And so a lot of the times I think buyers don't realize that there's going to be extra costs along the way. I think a lot of the times they think, oh, all we have to do is put down the down payment and all we have to do is cover the closing costs. And some people don't even realize they have to cover the closing costs. Now these are all things that are somewhat negotiable. Not all of them, but some of them are. And I just kind of want to talk about the extra costs that you may experience or may have to put down, so that way you can become prepared as a buyer. So first I want to talk about private mortgage insurance. A lot of people don't realize that you don't have to put 20% down, but you really should. That's why a lot of places will say, hey, put 20% down. It's because of private mortgage insurance. When you put 20% down on the home, you won't have to pay private mortgage insurance. If you can't put 20% down, that's all right. You can still get a home. You will just be having to pay private mortgage insurance, and that's usually added on to your monthly payments by the lender. The lender will show you that. But once you hit 20% equity in your home, you won't have to pay that once you refinance. So then I also want to talk about earnest money. This is money that the buyers put down to show that they're serious about buying a home. And so this can average between 1% to 3% of the property's purchase price. It can be as high as 10% for highly competitive homes. So you always want to keep that in mind. Always ask your realtor. If you're looking for a home, your realtor will let you know how much the earnest money will be and when that is due. So that's going to be another extra cost. And so then we got the appraisal. Once you're under contract, then you have extra costs to cover when you're under contract. And appraisal is one of those. If you don't know, an appraisal is an expert assessment of the value of something. So for our purposes, we're talking about the value of our home. And the purpose of an appraisal is to assure the lender of the value of the home and make sure it's not less than what they are lending. So in general, the appraisal should cost between $250 and $500. But since no house is the same, it can vary just based on pricing, and it can just vary. So you always want to make sure to get the exact number, and your agent will talk with you if you're under contract getting the appraisal. And the lender is the one who orders the appraisal, but it's the buyer that pays for it usually. So that's another thing that can always be negotiated, but it's usually the buyer who is the one who pays for it. Another thing that can be negotiated is the inspection, but again, it's usually paid for by the buyer. The inspection is a professional examination of the property's condition. And so this is another extra cost that you're going to have to keep in mind. And so these can also vary depending on property type, square footage, but usually it starts at $400 and can go up from there. And so it just always depends. So you'll usually figure out that exact number. And then lastly, I want to talk about closing costs. So in Colorado, buyers and sellers share the burden of paying for closing costs at the end of the home sale, but they won't be paying for the same things. So sellers typically pay for title, for closing fees, owner's insurance, and recording fees at closing, whereas the buyers in Colorado spend on average is about $2,000 on average, $2,000 to $3,000. And so there's just a lot of extra costs that you're going to have to keep in mind. And we can always figure out ways to get these covered. So don't let these extra costs scare you from buying a home. If you're already thinking to yourself, man, we barely have enough money to get into a home, we can figure something out, whether it's a first-time home buying program that will cover closing costs, or whether it is getting a gift from someone. Maybe that's your Christmas gift, is just covering closing costs, covering these extra costs. Whatever it is, we will figure it out. So I want to make this video so that you guys are aware, not to scare you. And if you have any questions for me, I would love for you to reach out. I would love to answer any and all questions that you may have. Even if you want to just get coffee and just hang out, reach out. Let's get some coffee together. I would love to hang out with you. See you next week.